Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I am bringing you a really interesting chat today with Tamsin, who is an email marketing specialist and who runs a consultancy called the Email Marketing Mum. She works with email day in, day out, and she's actually been working with me for the last 3 years on my emails. She is an absolute whiz when it comes to anything email and helps me get my emails into the primary folder instead of the promos and spam folders. So I'm really thrilled to introduce her to you today, and she's going to share some really great insights on how you can use email really smartly for your business so that it's not spammy and it's actually helping your business to achieve your goals. So I know that she is online. I can see her there. She just is going to join me in a moment and we will get started. Hopefully she can see the button. So email, and why do I love it so much? You know, email's been something that is it's been around for a long time, and I think at times it feels a little bit less sexy, other more, what do you call it? I'm not going to say modern. Email is still modern and it's evolved over time, but you know, it can feel like it's been around for so long. It's not the latest thing anymore. But the stats show that email is still the number one thing that drives conversions for a business. So it's super important to include it in your marketing strategy. And that's why I put so much focus into it and why I have an expert like Tamsin who helps me with my marketing. So hi, Tamsin.
Hi, how are you going?
Good. How are you?
Yes, good. Very well, thank you. So good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to give everybody a 10-second intro as to your business and what you do?
Yes. So I'm Tamsin. I am owner and founder of the Email Marketing Mum, which I started about 3 years ago, about 2018, just before I started working with Jess, actually. She was one of my first clients. And I help women entrepreneurs, so mostly Australian-based women and mostly mums as well, to run their business using email marketing. So things like automation, regular emails, all sorts of stuff. And I do that one-to-one. And then I also do coaching as well as courses, which I'm just starting this year. So yeah, it's kind of, the trajectory's kind of gone up and up, but yeah, it's so nice working with other women, especially other mums. And seeing their businesses grow and seeing the results that they can get with email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just such an essential part of our business these days. And I just love seeing, you know, the amount of engagement that we get, and it's definitely down to the focus that we put into, you know, what email is and what's the function of it and why we're doing it and all of that good stuff. So we've called today's chat the email trifecta because I think it's the three really important ways that we can use email in our business to, you know, make our business work better, function better, convert better, and also it not be spammy, like it actually be something that's working for you. And, you know, I think you were sharing with me before we got on this call that, you know, sometimes people have an aversion to it because they think that by sending emails, they are annoying people or that they're going to be considered as being spammy. So I think that's really something we want to deep dive into a bit today and help you to maybe change that perspective a bit on how it can not be.
And I think that tends to come from a very personal place. So if you personally don't like email marketing, you're going to find it really hard to apply that to your business. And my argument for that is always, like, people don't actually hate receiving emails, but they hate receiving bad emails. So if you know the difference, then you're pretty much on your way to having a great relationship with your audience. And you know, there's definitely a difference. I think it's not something that you become aware of, because email marketing is just has been with you since you probably were at school or your first job or whatever, but it might be something that over time you've come to feel a bit annoyed about if you've signed up for lists and people haven't managed those lists properly. Then, you know, there's always the spammy emails, like the Nigerian prince, like, you know, that kind of stuff has over time given email a bit of a bad rap. And I don't think it's really any one specific event that occurred, but it's been like mild annoyance has probably what is putting people off of email. But hopefully we can, turn that around today and talk a bit more about the positives.
Absolutely. There's so many positives. So let's start off with the first one, your recommendations.
So I think, look, email marketing is the long game, particularly with service-based businesses. So say, for example, with e-commerce businesses, you send an email, it's for a very specific thing that you're doing, you get a result straight away because people will go to your website and buy it. But with service-based businesses, you're really cultivating a relationship, and it's a longer relationship development journey that you take people on. So really what you're doing is you're creating an opportunity to have conversations with people. And when someone opts into your email list, they're open to having those conversations with you. So essentially, they are taking your calls basically, and they in that moment they want to hear what you have to say. So really, your job once you have them on your list is to take that attention and turn it into a connection. So people then know, like, and trust you. You might hear marketers say those three words a lot: know, like, and trust. And email can help you to do that. I know that the way to do that is to increase your touch points. I'm sure back in the day, before the internet, there was something like, you need 7 touch points before someone will buy from you. Now I'm sure it's up around, 20 or whatever, because we just have such a high touch rate with people on Instagram and all those sorts of sorts of platforms. But email's a really great way of not only making a connection, but having a deeper connection, because that person's actually open to hearing what you have to say.
Yes.
And you're in their inbox, which is like their personal digital space, which is a very, very lucrative place to be having a conversation in.
Yeah, and I think on that, one of those key differences is that you are having a one-to-one conversation when it's an email. Even though, and I think that this is where probably a few businesses do get email wrong, and where, you see, or you do feel like you're being spammed. And, I've certainly on lists where I haven't opened one of their emails probably for 2 years. I'm not sure why I haven't unsubscribed, but I'm still getting, it's like every single email in a whole campaign. And I'm like, guys, I haven't clicked on anything. I haven't shown interest. There's some of the great stuff that we do is in managing my list is to be only sending, the real launch emails through to people once they've shown interest. So, we do some feeler ones to get the main interest there, but then, for those people who aren't interested, they don't then get the barrage of emails. It's only if they've shown interest that they do. And even then, I try not to barrage people at all. I would hope people don't think that at all. But I think that email is such a personal thing, and so many people forget about that. I still get some today, and they haven't even put my name in it. I'm like, come on, guys, seriously, you have got my name. And you should be collecting someone's first name at least when they give you the email address, so that you can use their name, because that's the number one word that people love to see. They love to feel like it's personal, and the more you can make it feel like that one-to-one conversation, and it's not like here's a mass market broad generalist email, you're just building such a deeper connection. So I love to try to keep that in mind when I'm when we're writing and building those emails, is like, how can I make this feel more personal, more like a one-to-one approach?
And actually, fun fact, our names are one of the few words that we don't read. We actually visually see it like a picture, and we are connected to it and drawn to it straight away. So that's why that type of personalization works really, really well, and why it's so powerful to be including someone's first name. The kind of opposite side of that is people who get people onto their list and then they don't email them. So they'll ghost them for months and months, but then they've got something to sell or launch or whatever, and then they'll start emailing people. And that happened to me a few months ago. I actually didn't realize I was still on somebody's list, somebody who I respect greatly and who should know better. And then they started selling me a new course. I'm like, hang on, I haven't got a single thing from you for at least 6 months, and now you want me to buy this course from you. So yeah, it definitely is not the way to go either.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're only getting emails when they've got something to sell, like how valued are you feeling when that's happening? Like that's,
you don't
to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense at all. So excellent. What's
anyway,
the next?
So really when somebody comes to you and they join your list, the very first thing, the most important thing to do is to actually welcome them. So think about it. If you're at a party or somewhere and someone comes up to you and says hi, you don't just stand there in complete silence. You actually acknowledge them and you say hi back. So really that is what you are doing with a welcome sequence. And as I said before, because they're giving you their attention, it's a really great time for you to start telling them what you're about. If you have a lead magnet, which I hope you do, then you deliver that straight away. I have seen people create lead magnets, then they go to deliver them, but they leave the lead magnet to the bottom of the email. Whereas really, if you're getting someone to sign up with you for, say, like a downloadable or whatever it is that you have, you give it to them as soon as possible. And, you don't wait to the end, because that's not a great experience for people. You're kind of making them work for the thing that they thought you were going to give to them. So already, if you think about these kind of micro actions that people are taking, you want to make them all positive. So a big welcome with their first name. Here's the thing that you asked for. Here's a little bit about me. And, you start to set up those expectations. Like you'll be hearing from me over the next couple of days, and I'll give you, some more value. That kind of stuff is going to set the right tone for the relationship that you're trying to cultivate.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to do it all in that one space. It's not like you say, hi, nice to meet you, and then blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you everything and get it all out in this one email. That was probably a bit too much and overwhelming. And that's why it's so good to think of your welcome as it's a conversation that's going on. So, what's the first bit is, well, here's the lead magnet and here's a little snippet, and then the next email might dive a bit deeper into something. Maybe you might tell them a story. You're going to build a sequence where you can help that person get to know you better. And I think like what you said just a moment ago, is balancing what they want versus what you want. So you've obviously got some goals and objectives of what you want to achieve through your email communications, but you've got to be really aware of what they are wanting, because if you're not aligning with that, it doesn't matter what you want. They aren't going to like just being, having your agenda shoved down their throat. They need to feel that they're getting what they want, and that's what engages somebody. So that's where I think is probably maybe the real hidden key in email communication in the first place is, hey guys, it's a two-way thing. This is definitely you as a business achieving your goals, but you need to be delivering to the other person what they find valuable and what they're wanting, or they're not going to stick around. They're going to be saying, I'll see you later, and going off and meeting somebody else at the party, if we carry on our party analogy.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a great way for you to show that you're accessible to them, and you're not just a face on Instagram or on your website homepage who writes posts, that kind of stuff. You actually say, hey, hit reply and let me know about blah, and then you give them a writing prompt to then email you back, because then they see that there's a human on the other end, and they kind of feel that connection so much more than if you're constantly talking at them, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
So apart from welcome sequences, which I could talk about all day,
so much keep on thinking, oh no, I've got to keep to the program, or we'll be here all afternoon.
Actually, by the way, I'm going to be very impressed if we can keep this conversation to the time that we agreed to, because when Jess and I get on telephone or Zoom call, it's like an hour and a half later. Anyway, one of the things that I kind of touched on about before was consistency. So when we talk about the spectrum of over emailing and under emailing, you really want to aim for the middle, where you are consistently emailing people at a rate that works for you. So if you can't do weekly emails, and you know that you can't, try something like fortnightly emails. But as long as you're consistent, even monthly, just be consistent. So your audience learns to hear from you at a certain time with certain information, and then you start to get them into the habit of opening your emails. And when it comes time to do those regular emails, particularly with service-based businesses, is always to serve first and sell second. So if you're serving and you are giving people the value and you're talking about the problems that your audience faces, and you are giving advice on how to solve them, then the selling part really is such a is a much more natural conversation to have. Because you've already done the examples, you've really tapped into some of the stuff that's really is quite, you know, painful for them, but obviously you're not, you know, really bringing a lot of that to the surface to make them feel bad about themselves. You're trying to give them that inspiration to move forward. And whether that's with tips, with experience, with a story that you have, something that you can give to them that is going to drive them forward to the next step, which is to work with you.
Yes, definitely. And I think that that's it as well. Like if you know, people set a consistent sequence of how often they're going to email. It's like if you are struggling to think of what it is that you're going to send out and you don't have anything to say, then extend your time frame out. Don't do it as often, because quality over quantity 100% of the time works so much better. You know, I've usually at the place now where I've got so much to say, I'm like trying to figure out what to choose to write about, because I've got too many options, which means that I do one once a week. But for a lot of people, that's too much. You know, you don't have something to say that often. So just save it up, you know, do your fortnightly or monthly, like you said, and that is so much more valuable to your audience.
And I think quite a lot of people will say, when it comes to email marketing, I don't know what to write. So either you have a content strategy messaging issue that you need to solve, because if you can say the same thing for social media, for your videos, for your blogs, if you don't know what to write for all of those channels, then that's a bigger problem that you need to solve. But if you are really good on video and you do a lot of lives, you do a lot of blogging, whatever that is, that existing content is super easy to repurpose into emails. And I know that there's a big difference between speaking and writing. So if for people who are natural speakers and they do lives and videos and all sorts of stuff, I always say just find a free dictation app and get your lives dictated down, and then look at them and see if you can turn them into emails. It's the quickest way. And the beauty of that as well is that the best way to write emails is to write like you talk. So already you're halfway there, but you just might need to tidy up some of the language. You might need to shorten it a little bit. You might need to reformat it a bit, but really the guts of what you've got is right in front of you. So, you know, there's always ways to be consistent, even if you are finding it hard to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for making less work to have bigger outcomes. So anything that you can leverage and repurpose so that you're spending less time is 100% a smart strategy to use. And just going back to what you said before, you know, if you don't know what to write in emails, you don't know what to say on social media, that to me is a big indicator that you really don't know your ideal customer. Because when you're tuned into who they are, you will always have something to say to them, because you know what they're going through, you know what they are thinking, you know what they might be thinking that's not helping them right now. And so you can address all of those things. You're not emailing to talk about your service, you're really emailing to talk to them about what they're going through and what's going to be of use to them. So I often find a lot of inspiration of just what I'm feeling right now, what I think that they need to hear. maybe it's stuff that I've seen online that I see people talking about and I've got an opinion on it, so I like to write about it or talk about it. But you really, if you're dialed into who your ideal customer is, you'll always have something to say and always be really valuable as well. So that might be a tip, if that is you, to maybe go back and spend the time on finding more out about your ideal customer, and not just where they live or how old they are. It's actually really about their beliefs. It's all the psychology. So if you need help with that, you can jump over to my website, because I've got some tools there that could help you. But definitely take the time to do it. It's so worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one thing that we do with your email sometimes, Jess, is I'll look at what you've spoken about in that week or the week prior. Yeah. And we'll try and pick out some of the stuff that's really has resonated with people as well, that could be turned into an email. Or sometimes you might just write something down and then we'll kind of turn that into an email. So there's no right or wrong way. You shouldn't always have this very structured, rigid plan, because that's never going to work out. It's much more of a fluid system. And really what email is it's an electronic form of letter writing. So writing a message to somebody is a very old way of how we communicate. It's older than the telephone. So, it does come naturally to us. So, if we can think about what's really interesting us and what we think our audience want to know about, and then picture ourselves writing to one person, like you are writing a letter or a personal email, and then see how that flows a lot better, because then you're not, you've got this one-to-many mindset where you're writing to a whole audience. It's too many people, because you're trying to think of how people are going to be reacting to what you say, and you're trying to appease every single type of person. Whereas if you just aim for that ideal customer persona, then you'll never have a problem actually writing to them.
Yeah, and feel like they're your friend as well, that you have a really good relationship, because so often when we're trying to impress, all of those big words come out and a bit formal language, and you're trying to sound like you're really knowledgeable, but like that just does not come across in a conversation. It's not how you talk to somebody if you met them. So it's like, just maybe get your ideas out, but then just take a few deep breaths, relax, and just get in the vibe of you and think, they may read it, they may not, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to talk like me and just get my point across as I would as a real human to human connection, because you'll find that is so much more engaging, and people will love to read your emails and see what you have to say, because it feels easy for them to to absorb the information as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
So apart from welcome sequences and writing more consistently, one of the other things of how you can use email is for your launches. So launching, you'll be working on, say, your course, for example, or your membership, and you'll be so focused on creating it that then you'll finish it and you'll turn around and go, okay, now I need to tell people about it. But really, during the time or the process of creating the course, you could be taking people on that journey with you and showing them bits and pieces. So you're building momentum as you go. You're getting people excited about it. You're asking questions, that kind of stuff. And as you're doing that, your call to action is more around, would you like to join the wait list? So as people are becoming more and more interested in you talking about your course or your membership, they are starting to want to know more, and they want to be the people that want to know when it launches, and then you've got people to launch to. So always having people to launch to is a great thing that email marketing can help you do. Really, you can do all sorts of emails. So you could do a story email, you could do a behind the scenes email, you could do what inspired this type of product. So there's so many ways that you can talk about the thing that you are creating that will draw people in. And it's just a really nice way to ease people in. So they're not just hearing about it one day and you really want to sell it within 2 weeks, that kind of stuff. It's just
this is an awesome one, and I love that you've brought this up as one of the 3 in the trifecta, because I think that is something that you see, you know, maybe some people get to sooner than others, but it's if you just emailing when you're wanting to sell the thing, then you're trying to do all of the building the trust, the influencing, the inspiring, all in that one time, and trying to get the sale happening. So when you're thinking about whatever it is, if it's launching a new program, a new service, whatever it is, or a course, having that runway beforehand, it primes you up so that it doesn't feel like a hard sell at the time of the selling. Because like you say, you've got people who are already on the interest list. So people have been opening the emails, they've been clicking links, they've hopefully put their name on the wait list, because then they've really put their hand up to say, I'm really interested in this. And you've done all of that without actually having something to sell at the time. So you've really built such a better relationship and trust with them. And I like to look at my launch runway as sort of like a 3-phase approach, where at the beginning, I'm really trying to influence their thinking. I'm attacking beliefs that people have that are going to stop them from thinking it's something that they need when they really do need it. So I'm looking at, you know, what are the mistakes they're making? What are they believing that's not helping them right now? A lot of my early content is based on that. Then I use, you know, inspiring stories to show like what's possible and the results. And, you know, the stories are, you know, they always tell such a bigger picture than if you're just talking about the product itself. It's like, it's not about that. I want to inspire you. And then the third phase is invites. That's when I'm inviting you to join the wait list, or I'm even inviting you to, you know, yay, the doors are open. Now I'm inviting you to, you know, come on board with the program. So, you know, you've got that 3-phase of influence, inspire, and invite. And that is, all of it can be done in email. You can literally do an entire launch just using email if you want to use that as your only tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So powerful.
It's a great place for if this is something that you've launched in the past, where you can showcase how past members or students or clients have gone, and getting them to share their stories. So really, it's not always hearing from you in your words. You know, you can actually use their words, their quotes, so people can actually see the actual features and the benefits and the outcomes for themselves as well. So yeah, there's so much that you can do with launching.
Yes, awesome. So the email trifecta welcome series, and you know, we've spoken about why you do it and what you put in it, and that's also one of my favorite things to automate. Like, get that baby happening. The welcome series works for you when you are not working. It's happening all hours of the day or night. I've got people opting into my my freebies, you know, every day, all of the time, and they're going through a welcome sequence. So, you know, that's all happening without me having to do anything now that they've done the work to set it all up, which is so good to see. The second one was consistency, and that was about making sure you're consistent with your emailing and, you know, setting the expectation and then delivering on it. Was there anything else with consistency, or that was mainly around the time
that
frame?
was mainly it, yeah. And really just having people go, so with your call to action, having people go somewhere each time. So do you want them to read something, listen to something, watch something, all that kind of stuff? So always have one solid call to action within each email.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Like, give them somewhere to go next. And that's, I think, you know, coming back to what we even called this, be smart, not spammy. That's not being spammy to use a call to action in an email. It's actually just giving them somewhere to go next. If they're ready to take action and they're interested, then all you're doing is showing them the way. You're making it easier for them, so they don't have to go to your website and look around and try to figure out how they do it. You're actually just saying, you know, here it is, you can click here and do that. So even when we're doing an email, you know, of mine that might be a story or something that is not there is no real call to action on it, then I like to use the PS part of the email to suggest some ways that people might like to work with me, you know, and some of them might be a freebie, other ones might be to join a wait list, and other ones might be, you know, a masterclass or something that's relevant to the context of the email. But again, it's just giving them that, you know, here's a next step if you're ready to take that. So yes, so important, I think, to always just use that opportunity to help people take the next step and where to go.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, don't forget that they invited the conversation into their private digital space, so they really do want to hear from you, and it's not a bad thing to be directing them to do something next or to take an action, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. And then the third one of our trifecta was about launching. So yes, it's such a great tool for launching. I don't think I'd be anywhere without using email. That is where you're really able to have the right conversations with the right people, because you can segment your list by so many ways. I love getting into the data and who should receive this one, who shouldn't. You can personalize that experience. And Tamsin's probably like, oh, we have so many segments sometimes, because I'm like, not these people, but include these ones, and only if they've done this or that. And because you've got the richness of the data there in the system, the opportunity is almost endless to personalize it down to a really specific detail, which means people are receiving something that's so much more relevant and specific for them, which makes their experience again so much better as well, because they're not getting a general email.
Yeah, and you can see with particularly with your launches in Active Campaign, you can see people who are continuously clicking to find out more, and they're interested. So that there are people that are interested versus people who haven't. So then you start to, your segment starts to get more concentrated and focused on the people who do, because they're showing you by opening and clicking on your emails each time. And it's a really, it's so much more personalized than just emailing your whole list and hoping that something sticks with one person. And, it's much more targeted. And the people who don't want to hear about it, then they don't have to hear about it.
Yeah. And I love
ready yet.
Yeah. And like the cheeky emails that like, hey, deadline dancers, because I can see that you've been opening the emails and clicking the links and you haven't acted yet. You can actually, they know that you're there, and you can kind of show, hey, we're in this together. I'm not a robot. We're actual people, and I might know what you're going through, so I can give them some targeted content that's really about why they might be hanging back. And maybe it's that big question they've got in their brain about whether they should do this or not, and you can kind of bring it out in the open. Don't beat around the bush. Like, call it out and talk about it, because sometimes that's the one thing that's holding them back.
Sorry, that to me is true personalization. I know that when we think of personalization, we think of inserting someone's first name at the top of an email. That's like the kind of classic. Yeah. But when it comes to real personalization using email, what Jess just said around really taking your launch segments and really seeing out of those who are engaging in that content. So that when you talk to people and that they are interested, and your language can actually get a bit stronger and more targeted, like you said. So, hey, I noticed you've been, checking out this program that I have. If you've got any more questions, book a call in with me. You can get really targeted, because for sure that they are interested, which is so much more powerful.
So much more. Yeah. We get so much mass market stuff these days. Anything that seems really personable and really relevant and like you're talking exactly to them has 10 times more cut through. Like, I cannot express that enough. That's why it's so good to know your people and to take the time to make sure you're getting the right people on your list as well. Like, make sure your lead magnet is really targeted at your ideal customer, so you're getting those right people on there. I unsubscribe people all the time. Like, as Tasman would know, we have an unsubscribe automation, so if people aren't opening my emails, they get off my list.
Because you're paying for them, right? You're paying for them, so you don't want to pay for people that don't want to open your emails. That's money that you can save.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just means that you're talking to people, and the ones who are really wanting to listen are getting the emails, and other people, they can opt in again if they want to get them again.
And then it has positive impact on your engagement rates. Your open rates stay really steady, really high, because people are wanting to hear from you. And it just means that more of your emails get read and more of them get delivered where they're supposed to be delivered. So it's just like a complete cycle that just keeps flowing and feeding back into itself. Which is definitely a plus. Yeah,
so good. Oh, we could talk about this for ages. Thank you so much. Tamsin, for joining me. So do you want to tell people where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about email or what you've got happening at the moment?
So over on my website, the emailmarketingmum.com.au is where I have my services, so my done for you services, as well as access to my courses. So at the moment I have a masterclass for email makeovers. So I've had about 6 very lovely volunteers from my community who put forward emails that I made over on screen, and I recorded those and I've put them into a masterclass. So
Awesome.
those are there. And then I was hoping by the end of this month, but maybe in July, I'm going to be launching how to create a standout welcome sequence. So that is literally talking you through a 5 email sequence to have that you can write yourself. And I kind of guide you through all of that. It was supposed to come out at the beginning of this year, but I ended up having a bit of a crisis because I realized the way that I had set it up, I was providing plug and play cookie cutter templates. And I literally got to pressing the publish button, and I realized that that just did not align to my values. I can't ethically tell people just use this template and you'll be fine. Just fill in the blanks and you'll be fine, because that isn't how email marketing works. And I got the idea from a whole bunch of different people because I kept seeing these types of swipe files in my feeds, and I thought this must be the way that you teach people how to write email. But what I realized was it takes people's critical thinking away. And once those email templates dry up, then they're still no better off because they don't know how to write emails properly. That's why there's been a huge delay for me.
Like if you're sending an email, you sound the same as someone else who, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just doing more damage to your brand than anything. So.
Yeah, and also, does it really sound like you? Are you really that, you know, up and peppy, or, you know, kind of funny or serious, or whatever the tone of the email is that has worked for somebody else? So yeah, that's why I've had a big delay in actually in releasing that particular course. So hopefully next month.
Yeah, no, that's so good, and I totally agree with you there. The cookie cutter just isn't a thing in business. Like, how can you pick up someone else's, you know, social strategy, wording, whatever, and plug it into your own business and then expect the same results? Like, come on, guys, the ingredients that you're putting into the cookies is different. You are different. You're a different business. You're a different person. Your audience is different. You can't bake the same dough and then expect the same cookie, because you're not the same dough. It's just like that's just not happening. And I think that's really good, really wise of you not to put that out, because people aren't going to get the results. They're not going to get the result that's promised. Whereas if you can provide the framework and show them what to, you know, what they should be writing, not exactly what they should say, but, you know, what's the framework for it, then it gives them the ability to learn, and then they can adapt their own emails, you know, forevermore.
Yeah, and I think showing people the why do I need to be writing this email? Why do I need to be saying the thing that I'm saying? What is it going to do for me? And once you learn that stuff, you can't unlearn it. But if you just give somebody like a few paragraphs to stick in an email and then they send it off, there's no learning process involved. So that was something that I didn't realize I felt really strongly about until I was about to launch the course. So I've had to do a whole other bit of like work to make it work properly.
Yeah. Oh, that's so much more powerful. Definitely. Yeah. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see it. You put it out there now. It's in the public domain. So it's happening.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tamsin, for joining us today. And thanks everyone for watching live and on the replay as well. We really appreciate your time and for you joining us here. And we will see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.